Hey everyone, some gamers, the guy who made a video about 5 minutes ago. I've been working on more stuff, and wanted to show you. Technically, I shouldn't say I worked on this. I am pretty sure this is the work of our good friend Brian Johnson, who used to work on Aspect 3. Hope you don't mind me name checking you here. This is a file that I found in MP1, which is the first DLC. So I removed some of the level. This is Hydra, or at least it used to be Hydra. It has some alternate files in the game. Just before we start, this map is not playable. It does not have any pathing files, so it's not going to be playable. But as you can see, there is a very different design for Hydra here. I mean, it's similar. It's pretty close. If you load the original pathing, it's almost identical. This is, I think, what they call a BSP, which is how they prototype stuff. Like, hey, this is what the map might look like, and then they lay it out to the point where it's like, yeah, this looks pretty good, and then they, actually start working on it. So it could be that this maybe never had pathing on it. Well, I'm sure at some point it did, but they didn't ship it. It'd be pretty neat if it did. But I left like the Vista and stuff in, so it doesn't give you serious eye bleed. But this is some of the work that could have come. This is what Hydra could have been. Obviously without me being able to run around outside everything. You can definitely see it is very similar. Except this area over here is totally gated off. They got rid of that. And the reason I say this was probably made by Brian Johnson is because the file has his name in it. So that's a pretty good reason, I think. But that's not the only interesting thing here. This file is indexed 200. It's like 200 BJO or WBJO. So I mean, that's pretty cool and all, but we have another version of this map. I don't know if this is an iteration or if there's some sort of internal people competing, trying to make the same thing. It's very similar, but it's definitely also different. Like the whole thing's just wide open here. There's no overarching piece here. I think it would be amazing to be able to play on some of these maps. Like this definitely needs to be. I don't even know what the hell this thing is. There's some sort of block. Yeah, we got the train tunnel here. It's no longer really a train tunnel. It's just a thing. Also really red. Not sure why. But it's like, this is a circular thing. We never had anything like this originally. This would be pretty fun to play on. I've been digging through a lot of the game files for unreleased content, and I actually found quite a bit of new stuff that I never found previously, mainly because I hadn't done a bunch of map editing like I have recently. Be up there. Come on. Nope. Not gonna happen, I guess. But we're just gonna take a look at this map. Mind you, when this map was developed, all this stuff in the background likely didn't exist. So, the theming and everything doesn't match. This is all just prototyping, I assume. Interestingly, if you were to look at the game files, in the base game version at least, the first two maps, the Condor and Hydra, they were meant to originally ship in the game. But due to time constraints, I think they got pushed into a DLC instead. But And they're actually built like single-player maps. There's a bunch of single-player stuff in it, but they don't actually... It's just like a stub. But all the stuff that, you know, would be required to start single-player is there. That's actually how ArcMod kind of hooked into it. It just took advantage of that. But, it's... Oh boy, where was I going with this? There's some pictures of, you know, maps. They were going to have the maps in the original base game, so they added slots into the what is it called? The image file, the SFX online images file, I think is what it's called. And it's what when you slide through the map list, those are the images that are there. And it's like a picture, and I think it's like right here. The picture is taken like right here or something like that. It's a slightly different version of this map, but it's definitely got this exact same style of ramp. You know, unfinished, glossy, you know, not a lot of texture detail. And it's probably from one of these versions. I assume. Excuse the yawn. It's God, it's 12:17. I need to go to bed. But I'm gonna take a quick fly through the other one. So you can see I didn't fall. There's not a... This version is much closer, I think, to the final one. But I think it's pretty cool. I like it. I love finding stuff like this. Unused content is my favorite. I should make a video on the amount of unused content. There's so many things. There's polonium rounds. There's all the unreleased maps from Retaliation and Rebellion. And now, I wouldn't say this is an unreleased map, per se. I guess, if we're going by that standard, I guess you can't say Rebellions is either. But the fact that there's these maps and nobody knew they existed, and there's no way to view them unless you mod the game. You have some unused gear in multiplayer. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff. There's a Battlefield 3 infiltrator. I don't know. I'm just having a good night. Hope you're having a good night too, or day, or whatever you're watching this. Anyways, Brian Johnson, if you watch this, I appreciate everything you've done for this game, and the people that worked at Bioware too. But just want you to know that finding your unused content made my night.